Hi guys, we are fast approaching spring. Just a few more days and we will be out of this winter season. I'm about 4 weeks away from my last frost date here in South Carolina, and I have to plant some things today inside. Some of my crops that get very big very quickly, like cucumbers and melons and things like that. But first, I wanted to talk about something really quickly. When I came into my seed starting room or my dining room, I noticed that some of my seedlings are looking a little unhappy. There's a little bit of yellowing going on and they just don't look quite as nice and green as they should. So they have been planted for about anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks, depending on what type of plant it is. So I am going to give them a little bit of a boost, and I am going to tell you what I use for that. So what I use to help keep my seedlings growing and happy inside until I'm ready to get them out in the garden is just liquid fertilizer. Now I'm just using a Miracle Grow. It comes in like a blue granule and you mix that with water. This is just a vinegar bottle that I'm using to hold my fertilizer in. But what you're going to want to do is mix your fertilizer, whether it be Miracle Grow, whether it be fish emulsion, whether it be whatever you want to use. Go ahead and mix that to half of the normal strength. These plants are just seedlings, they're just little guys. We do not want to over fertilize them because you can actually damage them if you do that. So be very careful to just use a half strength. Now the reason that I use Miracle Grow and not a fish emulsion is because I really don't want that smell in my house. So if you're not opposed to Miracle Grow, that might be a way to go. Or if there's another natural type fertilizer that you like, go ahead and feel free to use those. So what I'm gonna do is just take this and I'm just gonna water all of my seedlings with this today. And I may go ahead and repeat this in just a couple of weeks if I'm finding that they're needing a little more help. Because like I said, we're still about 4 weeks out until these things can go in the garden, and probably closer to 6 weeks out for my peppers. So I wanted to tell you guys what varieties I'm planting and why I'm planting these particular varieties to help feed our family. There are specific reasons why I grow specific plants, and I wanted to share that information with you today. Let's start with cucumbers. So for fresh eating cucumber or slicing cucumbers, I typically will grow something called Market More 76 or Straight 8. Those are both really good varieties, high producers, some degree of disease resistance, but very, very good for fresh eating. So those two varieties are awesome. But my favorite cucumber variety for preserving is called Homemade Pickles. This is a pickling cucumber. You can harvest it when it's about 1.5 to 6 inches long. And what I love about this one is that it is extremely prolific. The vines are a bit more compact than your normal cucumber variety, which is great if you're saving on space or you just don't have a ton of trellising space. But most importantly, this is resistant to downy and powdery mildew, which is something that I am plagued with here in South Carolina in the hot, humid summers. So to get a plant that will grow, remain healthy, and give me a huge harvest is so important. My goal with this is to plant 15 to 20 of these plants and to get in a massive amount of cucumbers very early in the season. These take 55 days to mature. And I want to bring those in. I want to pickle those. I want to make my cucumber relish. And I want to do all my preserving with these so that by the time my tomatoes are coming in, I am done with cucumbers and we're just simply picking some to bring in for salads and some for the neighbors. So that is my goal with these guys. If you need a good pickling cucumber, I highly suggest Homemade Pickles. For the squash that I'm going to be planting today in my seed blocks, I have Long Island cheese and Waltham butternut squash. Both of these I have spoken about in my other video, so I won't go into depth on these, but the Long Island cheese is extremely pest resistant, extremely disease resistant, massive fruits, massive amount of harvest. It is a fail-safe and it is delicious. Waltham butternut squash, also an awesome, awesome plant. lots of fruit, small seed cavity. If you want a little bit more information on these, I will link that other video at the end of this one. Now zucchini, I'm growing Ford hook zucchini. There's not really too much to say about zucchini. I have not found one that is resistant to squash vine borers or one that performs better than the other, but these guys are so prolific that you can usually get a good amount of these off of those vines, and just sort of succession so that when one of them gets taken out by the bugs, you've got another one coming along. These are really good to slice or grate and dehydrate and put those into soups or stews or as a filler into other meals. This type of summer squash called lemon squash, and it's called lemon because of the shape of the fruit. I love this. This squash is pest resistant and disease resistant, and it is extremely prolific. So I love these. This is a fail-safe for me. I know that I am going to get fruit off of these, and I know that I'm going to get a ton of fruit and not have to rip these plants out because they've been overtaken by bugs and things. These I also slice and grate and dehydrate, using them in the same way that I use the zucchini. But these I will also throw into like a vegetable lasagna or something like that as well. And the last thing that I want to talk about today are melons. So let's start with cantaloupe. So this variety is called Sugar Cube, and it is a hybrid, so you can't save the seeds from it, but let me tell you how amazing Sugar Cube cantaloupe is. If you have ever spent all summer growing a cantaloupe, you bring it up from the garden to the kitchen, you slice it up and go to take a bite, and it's just kind of bland and watery. That is not what you will get from this. This will produce a consistently delicious, sweet and refreshing melon. So if you're wanting something that is just fail-safe and you know that you're gonna get that same quality with each fruit, Sugar Cube cantaloupe is the way to go. They're about 2 to 4 pounds, kind of personal sized, but absolutely delicious. And for my watermelon this year, I'm growing 2 smaller varieties. One is called a Crimson Sweet and one is called a Sugar Baby. The Sugar Baby will be about 8 to 10 pounds and the Crimson Sweet will be about 20. Now what I like about the Sugar Baby is that it's kind of personalized, you know, for the kids, a smaller melon, but it is super sweet and there's not a lot of seeds in this, which the kids really love. So we will grow this guy. The Crimson Sweet is a bit of a bigger melon, also very sweet like the Sugar Baby, disease resistant, and we just really love watermelon, so we're gonna be growing a bunch of watermelons this year. The last variety is Alibaba watermelon. This watermelon will give you a huge melon, 30 pounds. They are long and oval, and they have a super bright, beautiful flesh inside with almost more of a minty green rind. What I love about this one is not only do you get a ton of fruit from it, but it stores well on your counter because the rind on this is very tough. So it stores well, and also it can take a little bit of beating from the kids as they bring it up from the garden into the house. So this one will hold up for you if you've got some kids helping you in the garden. So that wraps up my seeds today, guys. I hope that there's some varieties in here that I have convinced you to grow in your own garden. If you are just starting out or if you've been gardening for a long time and you are trying to be more sustainable and be able to provide more food for your family, knowing what varieties to grow and what they're going to produce for you is essential, as well as sort of being a bit strategic on how you're doing things, where you're placing things, how you're going to preserve these items. Otherwise, you will be bringing in so much produce and not know what to do with it and become extremely overwhelmed. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much.